I was arranging flowers in my small kitchen when the phone rang. White lilies, Ethan's favorite since he was a boy. I had bought them, thinking I could bring them to him at the hospital. The doctors said he was stable, that there was time. I held the stem in my hand, trimming the leaves when I answered. Opal, the voice on the other end was flat, controlled. It was my daughter-in-law, Marissa. She didn't sound like a grieving widow, more like a woman making a business call. I'm calling about the funeral arrangements. The lily slipped from my hand and hit the linoleum floor. For a moment, I thought I hadn't heard her right. Funeral? What funeral? The doctor said. When did you last speak to a doctor? Her tone was sharp, as if I were wasting her time. Yesterday morning. Dr. Keene said the surgery went well, that Ethan was resting. That was 2 days ago, she interrupted. He died last night. Complications. The infection spread. The room tilted around me. I gripped the counter until my knuckles turned white. No, that can't be. Why didn't you call me? Why didn't someone? I tried, she said with no hint of sympathy. You didn't answer. I fumbled for my phone, scrolling through the screen with shaking hands. No missed calls, no hospital numbers, no Marissa. There are no calls from you, I whispered. Maybe your phone was off. It doesn't matter now. I need to know what time works for you for the service. We're thinking Thursday at 2. Thursday? That's so soon. Don't we need more time to plan? To let people know? It's already planned. Small ceremony. Immediate family only. Pastor Nolan will officiate at my church. Her church, not ours. Not the one where Ethan was baptized, where he sang in the children's choir, where he used to run down the aisle with his shoes untied and a grin on his face. Marissa, please, can we talk about this? I need to be part of it. He was my son. Her voice turned colder. Honestly, it might be better if you didn't come. Blaine wouldn't have wanted a scene. As if a mother grieving her only child was a disruption. As if my love for him was a problem to be managed. You can't mean that, I whispered. I do. He was my husband, and you barely called these past years. Don't pretend you were close now. Her words cut through me like a knife, not entirely false, but cruelly twisted. I pressed the phone to my ear, numb with shock, staring at the fallen lily on the floor. My son was gone, and I had learned it from a daughter-in-law who treated the news like an inconvenience. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ethan's smile at 6 years old, holding a baseball bat twice his size, or Ethan at 18, grinning proudly in his cap and gown. Those memories collided with Marissa's voice in my head, cold and dismissive. He's long gone. We already buried him. By dawn, I couldn't sit still anymore. I dialed Peterson's funeral home, the only one in town big enough to handle services. My voice trembled as I asked, I'm calling about the service for Ethan Dawson. Yes, Mrs. Dawson, a woman replied warmly. Everything is arranged just as you requested. Closed casket, private service, immediate family only. I'm not Mrs. Dawson, I said slowly. I'm Ethan's mother, Clara Dawson. The silence on the line stretched. Then a startled, "Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I assumed your daughter-in-law told us you wouldn't be attending. She said it would be too difficult for you." I clutched the phone so tightly it hurt. She said what? That you preferred to grieve privately. She was very clear. I didn't mean to cause confusion. I forced my voice steady. The service is Thursday at 2. A pause. Actually, there's been a change. She called an hour ago, moved it up. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Tomorrow. Less than 24 hours. She hadn't even told me. I thanked the woman and hung up, staring at the kitchen table, as if it might steady me. My only child would be buried tomorrow morning, and his wife had arranged everything to erase me from it. That evening, I walked into Ethan's old bedroom and sat on the edge of his unmade bed. The room was just as he'd left it 12 years ago. His high school trophies still lined the shelves. His college diploma still hung crooked on the wall. The faint scent of the cologne he wore lingered in the closet. When had I lost him? It hadn't been one moment, but a slow, deliberate fading. Every canceled birthday, every Christmas invitation withdrawn, every excuse Marissa gave. I opened my old calendar and flipped back through the years. March 15th, visit Ethan, canceled. April 22nd, Easter dinner, postponed. June 3rd, Ethan's birthday. Celebrate later. But later never came. Page after page was filled with plans crossed out in my own handwriting. And each time I had believed Marissa's explanations. Too tired, too busy, too stressed, until the silence became normal. Until my son became a stranger in his own mother's life. I ran my hand across the quilt on his bed and whispered, "I tried, Ethan. I really did, but she built a wall I couldn't climb." Outside, church bells rang in the distance, mocking me with the reminder that tomorrow morning, while I sat here in this empty room, my son would be lowered into the earth without me. The next morning came like a thief. While the sun rose over Ohio's quiet streets, my son was lowered into the ground, and I wasn't there. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the lilies that had wilted overnight. Every hour that passed felt like betrayal carved deeper into my chest. For 7 days I lived in a haze of unanswered questions. I called funeral homes, cemeteries, even the county clerk's office, hoping someone would slip and tell me where my son had been buried. Every voice gave me polite refusals. "Only immediate family, ma'am. You'll need to speak with his wife." His wife, the gatekeeper of my grief. On the 7th day, the phone rang. My hands shook as I answered. "What the hell are you doing to my life?" Marissa's voice exploded through the line, so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. For a moment, I was too stunned to reply. This wasn't the icy control I'd heard before. This was panic. "What are you talking about?" I asked. "Don't play innocent. I know what you've done. The lawyers called me. They said there's a complication with Ethan's will. They want to meet with me tomorrow." "What did you tell them?" My heart skipped. "Will? What will? I haven't spoken to any lawyers." "Don't lie to me, Clara." Her voice cracked. "You had to have contacted them. You had to." "I haven't," I said firmly. "All I've been trying to do is find out where you buried my son." Silence on the other end, then a quiet, reluctant confession. "Riverside Cemetery, Section C, Plot 247. The pen in my hand shook as I scribbled the numbers on a scrap of paper. My chest tightened. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," she muttered. "Look, Clara, we need to talk. In person. There are things about Ethan you don't understand." My pulse quickened. "What things?" "Not over the phone. Just come, please." Her voice trembled, laced with something I'd never heard from her before, fear. For 7 years she had controlled every part of Ethan's life and his relationship with me. Now, suddenly, she needed me. "I'll come after I visit the cemetery," I said. "No." The word burst out of her, desperate. "Before. Come before. I'm begging you." Her desperation rattled me, but nothing would stop me from seeing my son's grave first. I hung up without promising anything and sat staring at the paper where I had written the plot number. After a week of silence, I finally knew where Ethan lay. Tomorrow I would stand before his headstone, no matter what Marissa wanted. And as I held that scrap of paper to my chest, I realized something else. Whatever secret she was hiding, it was big enough to break the icy mask she had worn for years, and I intended to find out exactly what it was. The next afternoon, I drove across town to the neat brick house Ethan once called home. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my fingers ached. I half expected Marissa to slam the door in my face, but when she opened it, I hardly recognized her. Her once perfect hair hung loose in a messy knot. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, and her blouse was wrinkled as though she had slept in it. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked human. Fragile even. "Come in," she muttered. I stepped into the kitchen. The counters were cluttered with scattered papers, folders, and envelopes. Legal documents spilled across the table. She poured coffee with trembling hands, the mug rattling against the counter. "What's going on?" I asked. She sank into a chair, staring into her cup. "The lawyer called me yesterday. He said Ethan changed his will 3 months ago. He left everything to you." My chest tightened. To me, her eyes darted up, rimmed red. Yes, all of it. The house, the savings, the insurance. Everything. And do you know why? Because he didn't trust me anymore. The air in the room felt heavy. What are you saying? Marissa swallowed hard. He hired a private investigator, said he felt something was wrong with you and him, that you had pulled away. I leaned forward, heart pounding. Pulled away? I never wanted distance from my son. Her voice broke. I know. The investigator found everything. The canceled visits, the intercepted calls, the emails I deleted, the texts I sent pretending to be him, years of it, all documented. The words hit me like blows. You pretended to be Ethan. Only a few times at first, she whispered quickly, as though that lessened the crime. When he was busy at work, when he was stressed, I thought I was protecting him. But then, it became easier. I could control it. I could keep him to myself. I pressed my hands against the table to stop them from shaking. You cut me out of his life. Tears welled in her eyes. I convinced myself you didn't really want to be there, that you had your own life. But Ethan never believed it. He kept asking why you'd changed, why you'd stopped calling. I ran out of excuses. I stared at the chaos of papers spread before me, the remnants of Ethan's final months, now tangled in lies unraveling at last. Marissa's voice dropped to a whisper. He knew Clara. He knew everything before he died. And that's why he left it all to you. Because in the end, he saw through me. I closed my eyes, the truth sinking in like ice and fire all at once. My son had discovered the wall she built between us. He had fought to tear it down. And he had chosen me. The following morning, I walked into a quiet office on Main Street. Dark wood walls, lined with shelves of law books, surrounded me. Behind a wide oak desk sat a man in his 40s with wire-rimmed glasses and a calm expression. He stood as I entered. Mrs. Dawson, I'm Daniel Keene. Please sit down. My knees felt weak as I lowered myself into the leather chair across from him. My purse sat heavy in my lap, like a shield I wasn't ready to put down. Thank you for coming, Daniel said gently. He slid a thick file onto the desk. Your son gave me very clear instructions. He knew there might be complications. The word felt like an understatement. My voice cracked. He changed his will? Daniel nodded. 3 months ago, he left everything to you. But it wasn't just about the estate. He wanted you to have the truth. He pulled out a sealed envelope, my name written in Ethan's careful handwriting across the front. He asked me to deliver this personally. My hands shook as I took it. I traced the letters of my name with my fingertip, tears blurring my vision. May I? Of course. Take your time. He left the room quietly, closing the door behind him. I stared at the envelope for what felt like forever before tearing it open. Inside were 4 pages, written in blue ink, rushed in places, steady in others. Mom, it began, and I had to stop, pressing the paper against my chest. If you're reading this, it means I didn't make it through. I'm sorry for leaving you this way, but I need you to know the truth. For years I thought you had moved on from me, that you didn't want me as part of your life anymore. Marissa told me you needed space, that I was too dependent on you. I believed her. I shouldn't have. I knew deep down something was wrong. 6 weeks ago, I hired a private investigator. He discovered everything. Your calls, your letters, your visits, all of it intercepted. Every time you reached out, she blocked you. Mom, you never left me. She stole you from me. And when I saw the evidence, I finally understood. I'm so sorry I doubted you. I never stopped needing you. I never stopped loving you. That's why I left everything to you. Not just the money or the house, but my trust. I want you to decide what happens next. If you choose mercy for Marissa, that's your choice. If you choose justice, that's your choice too. I believe in you, Mom. I always have. Love, Ethan. Tears blurred the ink as I lowered the letter. My son had reached out from beyond the grave to give me back what I thought I had lost forever, his love. When Daniel returned, I was still holding the letter to my heart. For the first time in years, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt chosen. When I left Daniel's office, the envelope felt heavier than any weight I had ever carried, but I remembered something else Ethan had written about a key. That night, I went straight to my pantry, reaching up to the back shelf where an old coffee tin had sat untouched for years. The metal was dusty, the lid stiff from neglect. My hands trembled as I pried it open. Coins rattled inside, just as they had when Ethan was a boy, and I saved spare change for his school lunches. But among the quarters and nickels lay a small brass key wrapped with a scrap of masking tape. On it, Ethan's handwriting. Box 247, First National Bank. Beside the key was something wrapped in tissue paper. When I unfolded it, my breath caught. A silver bracelet, the one I had given Ethan on his 16th birthday, engraved on the inside with the words, "My son, my pride, my joy." I thought he had lost it years ago, but he had kept it. Even when I thought he was slipping away, he had carried a piece of me with him. The next morning, I drove to First National Bank in downtown Columbus. A clerk led me down to the vault, the air cool and still. She pointed to a small metal door. "Box 247, take all the time you need." The key turned smoothly in the lock. Inside was a manila envelope and a velvet jewelry box. My knees almost gave out as I carried them to the small table in the corner. I opened the envelope first. 3 letters spilled out, each in Ethan's handwriting, each dated at different times. The first was from 18 months ago. "Mom, I don't understand what happened between us. Did I do something wrong? I keep waiting for your call. I miss you." The second was dated 8 months ago. "Something isn't right. Every time I suggest visiting, Marissa says you're busy. She says you don't want to be bothered. But I don't believe her anymore." The third was only 6 weeks old. "I hired an investigator. If she's been lying, I'll find out. I miss you, Mom. I want us back." Tears blurred the words. My son had been fighting for me even when I thought he was gone. With shaking fingers, I opened the jewelry box. Inside lay a gold locket I hadn't seen in decades, my mother's locket, which I had given Ethan when he got engaged. I had told him to save it for his first daughter. Instead, he had saved it for me. Tucked beneath was another folded sheet. It was a legal document. My breath caught as I read the heading. Petition for annulment of marriage. Ethan had filed it 2 weeks before his final surgery. He hadn't just discovered Marissa's lies, he had been preparing to leave her. The truth twisted inside me like a blade. My son had tried to break free, and now it was up to me to finish what he started. 2 days later, I sat once more in Daniel Keene's office, the locket heavy in my purse, and Ethan's letters folded neatly beside it. Marissa walked in behind me, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, and she clutched a tissue like a lifeline. Daniel cleared his throat. "Mrs. Deans, all she is thus the sick is." "Dawson has reached a decision about the estate." I turned to Marissa, meeting her hollow eyes. "Before we begin, I need to hear the truth. No half measures. Why did you do it?" She swallowed hard, her voice shaking. "Because I was terrified. Years ago, before Ethan, I was engaged to another man. His mother hated me. She told him I wasn't good enough, that I was after his money. She destroyed us. I promised myself I'd never let a mother take someone I loved away from me again. When Ethan and I married, I decided you had to be kept at a distance. At first it was just excuses, then lies, then everything." Her eyes brimmed with tears. "I convinced myself I was protecting him, but I was really just protecting my fear. And now he's gone. He found out. He was going to leave me. And I don't know how to live with that." Her confession echoed in the stillness of the office. I thought of the annulment papers I had found, of Ethan's final words in his letter. "I want you to decide." My voice was steady when I spoke. "I've decided to give you the house. You won't be homeless, but that is all. The savings and life insurance will go into a foundation in Ethan's name. It will help children stay connected with their parents and grandparents when families fracture." Her mouth fell open. "You're giving me the house?" "Yes, but with conditions." I slid a document across the desk. "You will sign a full confession, detailing everything you did." The calls you blocked, the emails you erased, the visits you canceled. This will not be made public unless you ever try to contact me again or spread lies about our family." Her hands shook as she reached for the pen. "And," I added, my voice firm, "you will attend counseling, not a few sessions to check a box. Real therapy. You need to understand why you did this so you never repeat it." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'll do it. Anything. I don't deserve this kindness." I leaned forward. "No, you don't. But Ethan did. This is his mercy, not mine." She signed the papers, her sobs filling the quiet office. Daniel notarized them, sliding the signed confession into a sealed folder. As I stood to leave, I pulled a small photo album from my purse and placed it on the table in front of her. "These are pictures of Ethan growing up. Every moment you stole from him by shutting me out. Look at them. Understand what you destroyed." Her trembling hands opened the cover. The first page showed Ethan at 5 years old, frosting smeared across his face, grinning at the camera. Marissa gasped, her tears falling onto the page. "He was always my pride and my joy," I said softly. And in the end, he chose the truth. 6 months later, the Ohio air was crisp with the promise of autumn. I stood at Riverside Cemetery, Section C, Plot 247, holding a bouquet of white lilies. The grass around Ethan's headstone had grown lush and green, the earth no longer raw with recent sorrow. I knelt, brushing fallen leaves from the granite. His name was etched in clean lines, but it still felt impossible to believe. I placed the lilies carefully at the base and whispered, "I miss you, sweetheart. But I'm carrying you with me every day." Since that day in Daniel's office, the foundation in Ethan's name had taken root. We had already funded programs connecting children with grandparents after divorce and family disputes. Letters arrived from families across Ohio, thanking us for helping them rebuild bonds that had nearly been destroyed. Every time I read one, I heard Ethan's voice in my heart. The people who matter most want to see you happy, not isolated. Marissa still lived in the house, but under the weight of her confession and the counseling she had agreed to, she sent me updates through Daniel, progress reports from her therapist, proof she was keeping her word. I didn't forgive her, not yet, but I felt something shift. She had been forced to face the damage she had caused, and maybe in time, she would learn from it. 2 weeks ago, an unexpected package arrived on my doorstep. Inside was a framed photograph of Ethan I had never seen. He looked about 30, standing in a garden with sunlight in his hair, laughing at something off camera. On the back, in Marissa's handwriting, were the words, "I found this in his desk drawer. He kept it near his computer at work. I thought you should have it. Thank you for teaching me what love really is. I'm learning." I placed that photo on my mantle, beside his childhood pictures. For the first time in years, I felt like both halves of his life, mine and hers, had found a fragile kind of peace. As I rose from the grave, the gold locket Ethan had saved for me pressed warm against my skin. His letters were tucked safely at home, read and reread until the pages grew soft. And in my garden, where the lilies bloomed bright and stubborn, I found myself smiling again. The pain of losing my son will never vanish. Some wounds never close completely. But I no longer carry the crushing weight of thinking he died without loving me. I know now he fought for me until the very end. And in his final act, he gave me back my voice, my dignity, and my place in his life. The lesson is one I carry every day. Love survives lies. Justice without mercy is vengeance. But mercy guided by love becomes healing. My son gave me the power to choose, and I chose what he would have chosen. Truth, compassion, and a legacy that binds families together instead of tearing them apart. That was enough. That was everything.